Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. I'm gonna draw some bellflowers today. Lately I've been really inspired by botanical art and illustrations, and I wish to get better at them. Here I am drawing some basic shapes. I like to start with basic shapes since they give me an idea of how the final illustration is gonna look. I think illustrations are all about composition and how you frame something on the paper. I notice when drawing on paper I am a lot more afraid to make certain strokes or decisions. I've always been a digital drawer and started with a bamboo tablet, so drawing on paper is kinda scary compared to that. It's more final and less forgiving. Even though you can erase something, you can still see it most of the time. I don't know about you, but my sketches never really look the best. It's very rough, and I usually erase most of it and go over it with some colors later. I think it's really useful to see the process of other illustrators. I used to think there was only one way to do things, but after seeing so many other people draw and illustrate, you realize that everybody has their own way of doing things, and there are often many ways to achieve the same result. I won't bore you with all of the sketching, since the video will be really long. I think I spent around an hour making the sketches and the line art. Something I've been thinking about a lot lately is how insecure it used to make me saying out loud how long something took me. You see these quick time lapses, within seconds you have a full illustration. I think art just takes time, and even if sketching or anything like that takes an hour or more, it's fine. It's just a process. Looking back at my illustrator work, experience can really help you get faster. And I'm also always trying to improve my workflow, especially when it comes to animation in After Effects or factory illustration. I think that with traditional drawing there isn't much to change in your workflow, but it has more to do with experience. Drawing a flower once will not make you fast at drawing that flower, but if you draw it 50 times, I'm sure you will be able to draw it with no problems. Here I'm doing, I think, the line art. I'm not sure if it's line art anymore. I'm just redrawing my illustration with colored pencils. I'm trying to see if it looks nice before using alcohol markers. Since alcohol markers can bleed a bit, I wanted to test out if this helps. I think it does prevent a little bit of the bleeding compared to my previous drawings. But you still have to go over it with colored pencils to define the edges a bit more. While we finish up the line art, let me talk to you about learning a new medium. It always feels a bit awkward at first, and honestly, things might look really bad in the beginning. But speaking as a creative freelancer, I actually find it kind of refreshing that my personal work doesn't have to look so perfect. Since my client work always needs to be super polished without mistakes and I need to check it double, this feels really refreshing and free. It also feels a lot healthier that it's not behind the screen, since most of my work is so digital and a lot of my hobbies are also on the computer or screen. Alright, now we are finally getting to the marker part, my favorite. I'm still new to drawing with markers, but I think layering is the way to go. I started with this green color and added blue on top to make a gradient. Later you can see I start with a light purple, which I like more, to be honest. Creating smooth gradients is still a work in progress, but I really like how some of the flowers turned out on this page. It's a bit hard to see sometimes when you start out, since the first layer needs to dry a bit before you see what you did. Sometimes it looks very patchy but turns out smooth, and other times it looks smooth but turns out patchy. It's still a work in progress. I wanted to talk a bit about the bellflowers themselves. They're really pretty and gentle, tiny flowers. I like how they droop and have such interesting shapes. I've drawn them before and the illustration is even on my portfolio page. Back then I didn't even know their name. And their Latin name actually means little bell, which is really cute. I don't know if I came across one before in real life, but once you start drawing them, you realize how charming they are and that they're kind of magical. Next time I'm visiting a garden center, I'm definitely gonna check them out. Here I am trying out different gradients. I think this one ended up a bit too dark, but I like the variety in all of them. I did try to go over the first flower with a black liner, to make the lines more defined, but I think I like the softness of the colored pencils more. Maybe I'm just bad at lining things. For now I'll stick to the colored pencils. I really like how the purple is almost glowing. I also added some white highlights and sparkles to make it look more magical. I really like the colors on this page. Blues and purples go really well together. And the yellow makes it pop. That's why I also added some yellow to the flowers itself with a colored pencil. The combination of markers and pencils is super fun and I highly recommend to try it out yourself. Here I tried to add brown as an undercolor for the leaves and I think it worked out really well. It made it look a little bit more natural. Maybe next time I can add some more shadows and more depth to the leaves. And that's pretty much the finished piece. It was really fun to slow down and enjoy the process of drawing with alcohol markers and drawing something like bellflowers. I'm trying to remind myself that not every artwork has to be super polished or perfect, and that it's just about experimenting and spending a bit of creative time on something for yourself. If you drew along with me, or if you were just hanging out while doing your own thing, I hope this gave you a moment to relax. Let me know if you want to see more botanical pieces, or if there are specific flowers you want me to try next. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching and spending some creative time with me. Hope to see you in the next one.